I'm going to start and unbox the Coronet Herald. It's come in 3 boxes. That's the main lathe there, and it's 52 kilograms, so I will have to put my back belt on to make sure that I don't cause any damage to my back, and I'll have to make sure I do bend my knees and not my back. The box down here, I presume these will be the legs, and I think these will be the feet to allow it to be either higher on the legs or to be fitted directly onto a bench. And again, what I'll do is I'll show you with these fitted on what it would look like on a bench. So the lathe can either be bench or legs, which is ideal. So unboxing I think these will be the actual brackets for the lathe on the legs. Yeah, as you can see, well boxed together. It's got the bubble wrap on to protect it, and in there you've got your bag with all of your nuts and your bolts and all of your studs and your angle brackets to hold everything together. Now this is actually only about the second or the third time I've made up a Herald, and normally when I do Harrogate show and Newark show, what tends to happen, or any of the shows in Europe, the lathes are already built up and they arrive built up, which is ideal because it saves an awful lot of time. But it's handy to be able to build one up, and then if you do have to build one up, at least you know what the process is. So here's the 2 bench mounts here, and we've got the nuts and bolts and everything on there. What I will do, I've got the degreaser again, because usually there is a fine coat of that's the WD-40 fast acting degreaser. There is a fine coat of oil on there, and I will degrease it again. But what I'll do what I did with the last build, which was the Sabre 250. I will take it outside to degrease it, and then we don't have the smell of the degreaser left in the workshop. So there's all our nuts and bolts on there. I'll just sort them out, and then I've got them exactly where I want them. Everything always comes nice and securely packed, and keeping all the bits and bobs there. Started. Now we've got there, you can see the legs are securely packed in the box. Again, there's packing in between to maintain the stability for delivery. And so we've got one leg there. There's 4 of these. I'll just get them out, lay them against the back of the Herald studio wall. There we are. Here's all the nuts and bolts and everything for the assembly in the bag as well. It's the main lathe, and what I'm going to do, I've got my back belt onto here, so as I've got the support. These are the Kevlar back belts that you can get. I get them from Amazon, and they just support your back when you're lifting and setting up. I generally take it with us when I go to the demos as well, because it's unbelievable. In fact, what I'm going to do, the next demo I do with Record, I'm actually going to make a blog of setting up the stand, because the amount of work that goes into the stand being set up, I didn't realise. I mean, in the past, I would go and I would see the stand all set up. What people don't realise is the amount of work that takes place just to be able to get to the stage where people can come into the show and see everything set up. I couldn't believe it. So right, open these up with the staples. Watch what you're doing with the staples. And in fact, you could, if you wanted to, put a pair of safety gloves on. And actually, there they are. I'm going to put a pair of safety gloves on because I don't want to catch my hands. Right, I put my gloves on because there are staples in there, so just in case I catch my hand on the staples, I'm just going to slide them down, take them all out, and then I've got all the staples out. But I think the easiest way is to do what we did with the bandsaw, and cut down the corners. Right, there we go. Cut that down like that, and there we can take it out. I can always take it back up again when I need the box again. So there we are inside the box. As you can see, everything is nice and secure in there. Just hold that one under the camera. Everything's nice and secure. It's all wrapped up well. Polystyrene in it to protect it. There's the head of the lathe there, and put this down here. There's the instruction books again. They'll be in the 3 languages. So again, it appears, have a look through the instruction book before you start the build. So we've got a pack here. Looks as though, let's have a look. Looks as though that's going to be the cable. So it's probably Continental and UK. 240 volt again. There's another piece of equipment there. I'll have to, what's this here? Filter, ANC filter. That's for the electrical to plug into. So right, box of bits and pieces. There's the polystyrene there. Is onto the tailstock, and it's onto the actual drive here. And there's the banjo in there. And you can see that film of oil on here? That's the light film of oil that's on there. So I'll be taking that apart and I'll clean all that oil off, and then we'll come back to the assembly. So this is the main box that was in between the head and the tailstock. Have a look, get all the bits and pieces out of there. There we go again, everything is securely packaged. This is the motor, the heart of the lathe. So there we are, there's our motor in there, there's our belt, and the lever locks. The lever locks are metal there as well. So I'm just going to put this to one side until I need it, because that won't have any film of oil on. I wouldn't have thought to clean that. So I'll put that to one side till I need it, and then we're left with the lathe. So I'm just going to pull this out with the plastic. It's easier just to grab hold of the plastic like that and just pull it out onto the board there. Here, I'll keep all of this plastic. There's the tool rest in there. Again, well wrapped up in bubble wrap. And that is I reckon that's the tail on there. That will be the hand wheel to go onto the head. So there we've got the banjo. Get the polystyrene up here. Get the polystyrene up there. There's the faceplate already onto the drive, securing, looking after the drive in there. A little index and stud which will need to be loosened to take the faceplate off. It's for the register so that you can use it in reverse. So what I'll be doing is I'll show you how to set it all up so it can be used as a left-hand lathe as well. And with the swivel head being available, this lathe is right-handed and left-handed, which is ideal because Harry, my student, who is paralysed down his right-hand side, I think he must have been one of the first ones to get one of these off the production line. He loves his. He's had it about 3 years now, and he uses it as a left-handed lathe. Right, I've took everything out of the bags. I've got all the bits and pieces on there. I've got the nuts and the bolts and the wheel, the tool rest. I've got the drive centre, revolving tailstock centre. I've also got the 3 books of instructions. You've got your French and German with your Continental plug in between. And you've got your UK plug and your UK instruction book there. And I've also got the circuit breaker, or the component part in the electricals, the safety aspect of it between there. And I know you can also get an emergency stop button to fit on them as well. I actually have one on the Herald, which is very, very useful. So I'm going to take the head off, I'm going to take the banjo off, I'm going to take the tailstock off, and then clean up the actual bed itself. Tailstock isn't very heavy, so I'll just loosen that off, and then I can slide that off to there. Let's have a look.
It's a nice compact size lathe, isn't it?
It's very compact.
So would that be good for a beginner to use, would you think?
This lathe would be absolutely ideal for a beginner to use, because I mean they're all top quality lathes, but this is the baby of the bunch, and I've used this one now for about 3 years, and it's maybe a little bit longer, but really powerful. I'm going to go through how to set all the torque and everything like that on them, because a lot of people don't realise that you need to work with the torque, especially beginners. And as you say, Janet, this would be a good lathe for it. Well, anybody, but as a starter lathe, superb.
And if you've got a small space, you know, like a small shed,
ideal for a small
you don't need
shed.
to worry, do you, if you've just got a lathe that size?
Not at all, not at all. So what we should be able to do, I'm having a look now, is if I loosen this off, there, the head's loose, so if that come out, right, it's stopping, so there must be a locking nut underneath. So I need to have a look and see what the locking nut is underneath. Okay, so I'm looking in the instructions, and there are two little studs down here. You can see them there. Well, if I loosen those two studs there, I'll be able to take this off the bed. So I'll loosen that off there. There we go.
Did you get the Allen key with the lathe?
No, this Allen key, I had to... Actually, I got this Allen key with the Sabre bandsaw.
Oh, with the petrol pump?
Yeah, yeah. Janet thinks the new Sabre bandsaw looks like a petrol pump, so she keeps referring to it as the petrol pump. So there is a stud in here as well. So we'll loosen that one off. Into there. There we go. And just a little Allen stud with a spring washer on. We can take that off, and then that will allow us to remove the tailstock and the headstock and the banjo, which will make it easier to assemble. So again, I've got my back belt on just to be able to ease this over here. That is loose now, so the head theoretically should lift off the lathe. So I can take it to there, carefully does it, and then just take that off like that. There we go. I'll just lay that down there for the minute. So it's
now that looks like a food mixer.
It does. It does. It's the
my food mixer.
It does actually. Yeah.
It looks like that.
It does, aye. And then this back belt velcro is just about handy, I think. There we go. There. We can take the banjo off as well. Just put that to one side, and then we can take the tailstock off. Put that to one side. So loosening those two little studs there on the underside, these two studs here, allows you to remove the head, the banjo and the tail, and then you're breaking it down into pieces that you can lift yourself. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the bed itself, just lift it up like that. Again, I think it probably weighs now round about, the bed itself, I don't know what the exact weight of the bed is, but it's around about the 20-25 kilogram mark, which is the size of a bag of cement or a bag of gravel. So I'll just lean that up against there. What I'm going to do is just lean that against a piece of polystyrene there, so that I don't get an oil mark on me the woodwork. And then take this polystyrene out here. There's the shape of the bed in there, and pop the polystyrene up, put it onto here for now. And then what we can do is clean all of the oil off with the degreaser. The first thing to do is to put them out of here safe. So I'll lift this up onto the polystyrene again. Protect your back, bend your knees, not your back, and then we can clean that up. It's actually bucketing down. This is okay to carry. I've got my back belt on. I'm just going to slide it onto the bench there so that we can clean it up. It's bucketing down outside, so I'm not going to go outside and clean it up outside. I'm just going to do it here. But what we will do is, we'll not show the camera work of this being done, because we're both going to put a mask on because of the fumes from the degreaser. Okay, so that's all cleaned down. And now we can put the bench mounts on. That's it, all cleaned down, all of the solvent. I'll take this mask off.
What sort of mask's that you've got on?
Right, that is the Ellipse mask, which is both dust and solvent. This one, it's the AN14387, which has the filters in, which are good for both dust and solvent and fumes as well. So that's why I put that on, and we're better off wearing these when we're using anything that's got solvents in, like your stains or any of your cleaning agents that you might use, your degreasers and what have you. This one is an Ellipse mask as well, but that's just dust. So that's fine if you're just sanding.
They look similar, don't they?
They do. The difference is, if you look, is the size of the filters. And this one, the Ellipse, this one's about 20 quid, that one's about 30 quid. For me, spend the extra tenner, and then you're covering all your bases with your solvents and your smoke. Right, so we've got the bench mounts here, and I'm just going to put the bolt into there. The bolts have penny washer, spring washer, and the nut onto here, so you can go into there. Get them started by hand to start with. Turn them down. There we go. And one into there.
It's like a Meccano kit, isn't it?
It is. It is. Do you know I used to?
I was going to say you used to like
Meccano.
Meccano, so you'll be in your element now doing this.
I did. It's big boys' toys, Janet.
It is.
So tighten them down with the Allen key. Down onto the spring washer, down onto here again. You don't need to over tighten. The engineering is that precise. It's not necessary to tighten them mega tight, just nip them up and that'll be fine. So there. Now these bench mounts, what this allows us to do is either have it on a bench, or it'll also give you additional height for your legs, which is ideal for me because I'm 6 foot. So
what about people who are just 5'4"?
Well, probably better to assemble it without the bench mounts.
Right.
Also, there's probably ways of being able to alter the height of the legs as well. And but they come as like a standard height. So they're same on this end. Pop this onto here, line up the holes, and I'll just put the studs in there. I'll put the bolts in there, I should say, with the Allen stud. And then we'll move on to the next stage. What I've done, I've brought the lathe down and I've put it onto here. Could be your bench. Could be a bench that you've made. And if you look at this surrounding area where these curtains are, this is my wet turning area. And I've got a bench on here for the tools. But this could be your shed. And that size there is 6 foot. There, I'm 6 foot by 6 foot here. So you could get one of these in a 6x6 shed on a bench like this, and still have plenty of room behind you to be able to get yourself a little saber bandsaw, your extractor, and in a shed 6x6 size, AC 400, Camvac extractor, and a decent dust mask, and you'll keep yourself nice and safe. So I'm going to fit the headstock onto here, so I'll pick that up there. And again,
food mixer.
The food mixer, yeah. It does look a bit like a food mixer, doesn't it? Now make sure it's the right way. That's the right way, that way there. And then I can just slide that onto there. And what I'll do is I'll just put it to that point there. And then I'm not going to tighten it up because I'm going to take it off again to take it back into the studio for the actual recording. But before I do that, what I want to do is just show you how you can make, at the moment, at this end of the actual lathe, what you've got the head set up as if it's a right hand turning lathe. That's the lever that you get to actually lock the head into position. It's also what we use to remove the chuck as well. So then we can loosen that off there, and what I can do with that like that, I can literally just twist that round like that, and there's an angle of 45 degrees, there's an angle of 90 degrees. Okay, the motor goes onto this end. So if I slide this up here like that, there we've got a left-hand lathe. So the head is the left-hand lathe.
Brilliant.
And all of the actual electronics is here. So your hand's going behind the head. and that's why it's so versatile. Again, if you want to use it swivel, you can swing it with the swivel. Just swing it towards you like that and it'll click into place. This would normally be bolted down with the bolts as well onto your bench, so it would be sturdy. So there you can use it with the head swiveled, or there, if you turn it around that way, you can use it as an outboard on there. And on this end, you can actually fit a bed extension to that as well. But you could use it with your banjo on here and an outboard on there. Your banjo literally just goes into there like that. Lift your lever up. Wait a minute. That's it. Lift the lever up that way. There. You slide the banjo in, and there, pull that out. You can get your tool rest into there, and it'll work great. So I'll take the banjo off a minute again. Move the head back down this way to there. Swivel it round, and then round to 90 degrees. There you are. Clicks into 90 degrees there, so it'll be good for the kiss test, which I'll show you when I put the feet on. We can pop on the banjo from this side. Yeah. Lift the lever up that way just to get the banjo on, and then you can either lock it with. I'm right-handed, so I tend to lock it that way, whereas Harry, on the other hand, with using his left hand, locks it that way. So there we are. We can lock it down there, the cam lock. Then we can take our tailstock.
Now that looks like a mincing machine, doesn't it?
It does.
The old-fashioned mincer.
So we've now got the head, which is the mixer.
Yes.
And this is our mincer. So again, loosen that off on there. Slide that onto there. It slides lovely, and just finger tight, and it's nice and tight. And then we're good to go out and loosen the quill lock off, and that will wind out. And that's also got a measurement on that quill as well. So that's the basic setup there. If it was on the bench, the only other thing we're going to need to do is actually fit the motor and the electronics. But I will show you how to fit the motor and the electronics when I put the legs on, because I want to use this in the recording studio. I want to be able to move it between studios, between cameras, so that we can do tutorials, beginners, intermediate and advanced work. Okay, so the thing to remember is the height of the lathe. I've put the head back onto the lathe here, and I've got this so that when my arm is bent at 90 degrees here, the centre of my arm is more or less central with the actual drive on the lathe, or central with the spindle. And that height, I'm 6 foot. If I measure the height from there, the height to the centre, from the floor to the centre there, is, for me, 1175 millimeters, 46¼ inches. And that's ideal for me to have good back posture, and when I'm standing turning, I'm going to be comfortable by the time I've finished me turning as what I was when I started. There's nothing worse than having the lathe too low, because if it's down here and you're bending like that, by the time you finish turning, you've got a bad back. So it's something to bear in mind when you're positioning and sighting your lathe. Try and get it at a height where it's central to your elbow. So it'll be interesting to see when we put the legs on what the height will be as well. I'm keeping these bench brackets on to give us some additional height. You can actually remove these and put the legs straight onto the bed of the lathe if you wish to do so. Yes, I've read through the instruction book and I've looked to see how the legs are fitted. As I said before, what you can do, you can actually put the legs straight onto the lathe, but my choice is to put them onto the bench brackets on there, so that it'll give me some additional height. So I've got the nuts and bolts ready for those. Before I actually put the legs onto the lathe, what I'm going to do while it's on the bench down at the other end of the workshop, I'm going to take the heart of the Herald, the motor, and I'll fit that on so that it's easier to fit the legs in here and the motor in there. So there we go. I'm going to go into the box there, and we can have a look at the contents here. Again, it's well packaged. It's got polystyrene in each side. There's the drive belt. There's the steel lever lock on there, and we'll just lift that out of here. All the packaging has been made specifically to protect the motor when it's in there. There we go, and then I can just lift that motor out there. I'll just put my hand underneath there. It's not that heavy, thanks Janet. It's not that heavy. So we can put that onto there, and then that's it. I can go and fit that down into the Herald lathe, and that's where I'll see you next at the lathe. Again, I've got my assembly instructions here, so I've had a quick look to see how we put the motor on. I've never actually fitted one of these motors before. They've always been fitted whenever I've built the lathe up at a show, and so that has to go. There's a locating board there that the motor needs to go onto. So this has to slide into here, and that locating board there holds the motor in position there. So what might be a good idea is, if I get the lever now, I'll just lock this into position in case it moves while I'm pushing it down. So there we've got that, and then we've got this metal lever here, and I'll just pop that onto there, pop that washer onto there, there we go, and that will go into this part here. So we've got the lid open. I've undone the screw. That was how the lid was secured there. So screws undone, lid open. Let's have a look. And then that's the lever there for the motor to go slide up and down. So I can just turn that into there, get the thread engaged. So make sure it's not cross-threaded. There we are, it's engaged now, and just wind that round there, just with your finger like that, and then we can just bring that up to there. I'll just secure with that. Take the washer on there and the nut on here. This is a locking nut, and then we'll just pop that onto there. It's a locking nut, so the next time I'll just tighten that up with the spanner, and then I'll show you the next stage. Right, so I've just nipped that up onto there. It's a locking nut, and it allows that's like the lever action there, so we can just loosen off the lever handle here, and then so this is the lever that we use just to alter the motor. So we loosen that off, and the motor there can slide down, or if we want to lift the motor up for the belt, we can slide it up with that. And then what we do is just tighten that down just by hand there, and then I can shut the flap. That's it. And shut the flap there, put the screw in, and then I can take the head off the lathe, and we'll carry it up into the recording studio and fit the legs.
Could you fit the legs before you fit the motor?
Yes, you could fit the legs before you fit the motor. In fact, if you didn't have a bench, it probably would be the best thing to do. But because I've got a bench here, it was easier for me to fit it on here now. I know when they're at the shows, they come with the motor ready fitted. So for me, all I need to do now is just take the motor like that, loosen off the lever here. There we go. And then I can take the motor like that, and I'll just slide that up to that point there. I've got my hand onto the actual, that's it, there we go, and I can just put that onto here. I'll just leave that there until I'm ready for it. So now, take the bed, I'll just put it that way. It's easier for me to put my hands in here to carry it, so I'm just going to carry it like that, and I'll take it up to the recording studio, and we can pop it onto, I've got a table here, we can pop it onto, and we can fit the legs on this table. You could, if you wanted to, fit them on the floor, but I'm just going to fit it on the table, and then I can just lift it over and put it straight onto the floor. For me, I think it'll be the easiest way because I'm working on my own. I'm going to fit the legs onto here now. They are handed left and right, and the easiest way to see how they're handed is, can you see there's a little half moon in there? That's your hand on your left there. So this one will go into there, and what we've got the nut, the bolt and the spring washer there. I'm just going to hold that across so that we can get that nut onto there. Tighten that up, just hand tighten it, that's all that will do for now. And then take another nut and bolt, pop it through here like that. Again, I'm just angling it to one side so as I can get the washer on and the nut. Again, just put that on so that it's hand tight, tighten it like that. There we go. So now I can position those so that that semicircle there is central here. And then what I'll do, I'll just take the Allen stud, put the Allen stud underneath there, into there, so as that secures it, and then tighten that up with the spanner. So if you take the camera further back, Janet, show a decent shot please. I'm just standing there, I've got it just tightening with the spanner. I'll do the same with all of the nuts. I'll tighten it, just nip it up like that. That's it, just nipped up nicely, and then I'll do the rest. So the next time that you see it, all 4 legs will be fitted, and then I'll show you how to fit the brackets in between the legs. Right, it's coffee time, but I've got all of the legs in there, and I've put the bracket across here, and I'll show you how to fit that, because that's the last thing to go in. This is where the semicircles are important. So we've got a little bracket that just ties everything together. So again, just pop your bolt through the bottom there, your washer on, and your nut. Same on this side. Slot it through, washer on and nut, and then tighten them up. And again, to tighten them up, all we do is just pop the little Allen key underneath here into the dome head. In there, I'll just have to have a look, see what's it. There we are. And then I can just tighten up the nut on there. There we go. Just until it's tight, and then just, there we go, nip it tight. That's all you need to do. The engineering is absolutely spot on these, so we just need to nip them up on each one, and then I'll be able to show you how to finish the bottom of the feet. Okay, so the last things that I'm fitting on there, what I've done, I've actually fitted the 3 onto here, and these are the rubber stoppers that go on the bottom of the actual legs, just to cushion it onto the concrete floor. What I've actually done is I've took my rubber flooring off. Janet, if you don't mind showing the floor. I've kept the rubber flooring there, and I've got these 2 heavy duty mats to stand on. And these heavy duty mats, what they are, I buy them from the actual animal feed warehouse, and they help to support your feet and your legs, and you stop your legs from aching with standing on concrete all the time. But what I want to do is to be able to move the reagent into the hurled spot and move the hurled into the reagent spot. So I've ordered some rubber heavy duty casters, and I've got an idea to fit the casters on the bottom that I'll make a video of how I make the casters, and then if people want to have the flexibility to be able to move the lathe around the workshop on the casters, and they lock in casters as well, so I think they'll be really steady. So I'll just fit this on last. This is the rubber bung to go on here. It'll probably have to come off when I fit the casters on, because I'm going to fit some blocks onto there. But the good thing about the bottoms of both the lathes, the reagent and the hurled, there are holes in here. Now the reagent holes are threaded. These are just a drilled hole through, so you could put a nut and bolt through. So that would be ideal. So there we go, that's tight into there. And now I'm ready just to turn the lathe over and fit the rest of the parts on it.
It looks like a suspension bridge, doesn't it now?
It does now, yeah. Right, Janet, back belt needed now because I want to lift it over, and the total weight when it's all assembled, I think it's a 53 or 59 kilograms on the box. I'll double check it and I'll put it on, I'll print it on the video. So back belt on here, and I'm just going to take that now. I'm going to lean it forward like this. I'll get down onto my knees. I'm going to bring it back. I've got the polystyrene there, so I'm just going to lean it forward. Carefully does it. I'm just going to lean it onto there like that, so that I've got it laid over. Then what I want to do, I've got my back straight and I've got support to my back there. Probably a good idea is to put my gloves on again.
Who needs to go to the gym?
Exactly.
Not that you can go at the moment anyway.
Well, them 2 dogs are keeping us fit,
yes.
mine, aren't they?
And all of this weight training here with the assembly of the lathe.
That's it. So right, don't bend your back, bend your knees, straight down to there, lift it up, and then just move it over. There we go. I'll stand up, go towards it, lift it up like that, back straight. There we are, it's done, ready to go. Okay, so now I'll go and get the head and the banjo and the tailstock, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so I've got the tailstock. I don't know whether you can remember, there was a little stud in the bottom, that little stud there. That stops the tailstock from in here, goes onto there, but that stops in that little part, threaded hole there, that stops the tailstock from coming off. But I will be wanting to take the tailstock off, especially when I'm doing the likes of my hats on here. That will allow me to take the tailstock off when I'm doing my hats. So as you can see, it just slides on and off very easily. So there we go, and just leave it to lock it in position. Here's the banjo. The banjo again, lift the cam lever up on there, put the banjo into there, make sure the plates, that's it, running nice, onto there, lock down, and actually that tool rest there is 200mm, 8 inches. So that means I'll have the full complement of tool rests now, because I've got the large one over there, I've got the 6 inch, I've got the 4 inch, and this is the 8 inch, so we can use them. They can all be used between the two. And now, last thing to go on is the head of the lathe and the motor. So I'll go and get that. I've got my back belt on to carry it through. Pop that onto there, and then you can see the complete. Yeah, I've got the head and the motor here, and I've just got it onto the edge there just to slide along, and there we are. I'll just slide it to there, and then I'm going to lock it into position with the locking lever, and then I'll show you how to fit the belt. Right, last but not least, I'm going to put the belt onto there, but what I did do before I actually locked down the head into position, I did secure that stud that I showed you before underneath, and what that does, that stops the head from coming off the end of the lathe. It's just a safety stud, but as I said, I'm not putting one on the tailstock because I want to be able to remove the tailstock. And we'll open up the actual flap so that we can get the belt on, and quite easy to fit the belt. All we do is just take the belt over the pulley, and I'll take it to the top pulley there, and then that'll go onto the bottom pulley there. So to get that onto the bottom pulley, what I'll do is just loosen that off like that, and put my hand around here, finger onto there. I can lift that forward, and that will go onto the bottom pulley and onto the top pulley. So if I turn that hand wheel onto there, and what will happen with that, I'll just tighten that face plate up. I'll just hand tight it. There we are. So then we can take the spindle lock out of here, because the spindle lock is on. It would be on for transit, and there I can just lift that belt, get it into the right position. Okay, so I've got the belt in the position there. Make sure the grooves are seated on there, and then just turn it by hand. That's okay. So then all we need to do, you don't need to put a lot of pressure on there. I'm just going to put my thumb onto here and just tighten that up onto there, and then we can just pop the flap shut and we are good to go with the plugging in and trying everything. Right, we want to plug it into the electric, and this device here is a safety device that actually plugs in straight into the back of the motor. It's got the kettle connector, the same as the bandsaw had.
So you can just do the electrics yourself. You don't need a qualified electrician to do this for you.
No, it's a plug and play type of thing. So you've got that safety box there, and then what we've got is we've got both cables. We've got the 2-pin, which is the Continental, which again I'm just going to pop that in my tool bag because they're so useful to have when you're working abroad. If I'm working in Germany or in Austria, and this is the UK cable, and it's just your ordinary 3-pin plug that plugs into your domestic appliance sockets. So that plugs into there like that. Lovely, nice tight fit. What I'll probably do is I'll probably get a cable tie and put a cable tie onto here so that the cable's not stretched, and then I'll take it down here across and into the socket over there. So I've got a sockets underneath here, so I'm going to run a socket down to there, but for the time being I'm just going to plug that into there, switch it on to try it, and then we'll just pop it on. This is the emergency stop here, and again it's a twist stop, so when it's pressed it's locked into position. Before you can do anything else to start it, you've got to undo the twist on it. This is your main on-off switch here, so we just pop that onto there, and whoa, we've got power. So there we are, we've got our on-off, and I'm just going to take this faceplate off here. Now, if you look in there, Janet, can you see there's a little stud in there? That's the register stud. So what we need to do, that's it, that's the register stud in there. That needs to be loosened to get the faceplate off. But that again is another safety component. And so the register stud that's in here, what I'll do, I'll just take the Allen key and I'll just loosen that off on there till it comes out to the surface. You don't need to take it out altogether, and then we can just take that off there, and there we've got the faceplate that comes with the lathe. Not only do you get the faceplate with the lathe, but you also get a 4-prong drive. That's your 4-prong drive there, which is on a 2-Morse taper. That goes into the headstock to drive the material. And also we have the 2-Morse taper revolving tailstock drive in here, and that goes into the tailstock as well. So we loosen the quill off, wind the tailstock forward. There we've got a measurement scale on here on the side of the quill, and we just lock that into position when it's in the right position. Okay, so I'll go through the speeds and the electrical controls. At the moment it's isolated. I've just switched it off. Right, so to start it, you do need to do, if I go to start it now, nothing happens. All right, in fact the lights have gone off. So it's got a electrical safety components in it so that you don't overload or anything like that. So what I'll do is I'll just switch it back on and the lights will come on when I unlock the lever. So there we are, that's it sorted out. Okay, so that's the emergency stop. When we press the emergency stop, you will see that the lights actually go out. So everything is isolated. There we go, E01 off. Right, everything's isolated. Twist the top, on it comes. It's on its lowest belt ratio here, which is its highest torque, which again I'm going to do a video on torque and put some big wood on to show you. So when I press start on there now, if you look at the drive center there, the 4-prong drive, I'll press start and you can see that that's turning really slow, and you can see how quiet it is as well. It's like a sewing machine. And I'm going to just turn the variable speed up, and you can see the speed increasing. We turn the speed down, and we can move it onto the next belt. If I knock it off now, there we go. We can move it on to the next belt, and then we can show the speed ratio on there. But if I wanted to sand in reverse, what I would need to do is I would need to press the reverse, wait, and there's a little indicator, a sound indicator to say, right, it's in reverse. So now I start it, and you can see that it's actually running in reverse, which is ideal for sanding. And the one thing that I have said before is that you can always tell the quality of a lathe, because if a lathe can run in reverse, it's a decent quality lathe. And having worked with these for, well, since they came out, I know they are. And it might be the baby of the bunch, but by gum, it's got some power.
So can you turn large projects on this lathe then?
You can turn large projects on the lathe. You can turn over the bed 14 inches or 350 millimeters. But when you swivel the head and you use the outboard, the capacity is much larger. But I'll do a short description of the whole capacities between centres and the different torques. So I want to change the belt to go up onto the middle belt. I'll probably will end up using the middle belt more than anything, because I tend to turn mainly with the middle belt, because the torque's fine for most of the projects that I want to do, including my hats. So I'm going to isolate it. I'll press the switch down. I'll wait until the actual indicator's gone off to show that it's isolated. If in doubt, just unplug it or switch it off at the mains. And then at least you know you can't start it again. So then screwdriver, just ordinary Phillips screwdriver will do. Loosen off the little screw that's on there sufficiently to be able to open the door. Let's have a look. That's it. Open the hatch, and then inside there you can see the belt. What I'll do is I'll just loosen off the lever, put my hand over there, ease that forward, and I'm just going to put it onto the middle pulley there. So I'll just take that off there, put that onto the middle, and drop it down. Just turn it by hand, make sure it's seated in the correct grooves. There we are, that is there. And then just thumb on there, literally thumb on there, and when the thumb's white, I'm pushing that down there, when the thumb's white, then it's time to tighten the nut. Okay, and then that's as much as you need. Just press the thumb down. When the thumb's white, the nut's tight. So then we can just close that up there and take our screwdriver again, pop that onto there. There, the hatch is closed. Spin it first by hand, make sure everything's okay. If we wanted to lock the spindle, we just do that and the spindle is locked for the indexer. But don't use that to take your chuck on and off. I'll show you how to do that with the lever bar. Mustn't forget, I switched it off at the mains, so I'll pop it back on again. Twist the lock, and we're on the middle belt this time. So now I can just start that up, but the torque is less. So the higher the belt ratio, the less the torque. The lower the belt ratio, the higher the torque. So we start it again. There we go. Turn the speed up. And that's it. Again, if you want to run it in reverse, finger on reverse, listen to the audible indicator, and then put it in reverse. I will turn the speed right the way down before I start it, and there it goes in reverse. Now, once I've finished working in reverse, I press off, and then it automatically, a safety feature that it's built into it, it goes back to being forward again. So I press on, and now it's rotating forward. And it's purring like a kitten. Very quiet. Ideal for demonstrating with. Well, that's the build finished, and I'm now going to get some wood. I'm going to have a play with it, and I'll produce some tutorial videos on it to be placed on the Record Power YouTube channel, or some on my YouTube channel as well, which is Andrew Hall Wood Turner. Thank you for watching. I'm going to do a draw cut here, like that. Draw cut on there. And what I might well do at this point is I might well just flick round there and turn that into a little bead as well. Just round that into there, into there. And creating an OJ. So into there, let it get up to speed, round, draw cut, lower the backhand down, round, and they get up to speed, and just have a slight undercut at that point. So, good coat of wax on there, rub it into the grain. With the cloth. Just have a look at it, see what you think. Up out of the centre. Can you see I'm just turning, just using the waxing brush. A discus shape, like a collection plate shape in a church, you know, but nice with a couple of pieces of fruit, 3 pieces of fruit in that, and it'll look nice on the table.